They're well known. These guys, they're also Farmtech, I believe. Very expensive, and I'm sure it's really good. We have, this is just an Amish supplier locally that we have. And there's a company in Amish or a Mennonite-based company in Holmes County that it's called CBS. Don't look for the website. Don't look for the website. I do have a website. And we buy it through this guy. And I'll go over the cost later on. So, again, plenty of true strong right there. Okay, 5 more minutes. Nice. Our recommended spacing, 16 to 18. I would go to 16 because you're going to experience probably a 5% loss on the plants. So I'm trying to define Mother Nature. And then the 4 rows, which we put about 230.
What's the width of your pipeline?
30. 16, 18, the plants planted. Irrigation. Again, this is another area that we've learned over the years. Initially, we would put 1 drip line. Over time, we decided to put 2 with a 6-inch diameter, so that you really drench the thing when you run it, and it's just provide a faster irrigation. And also, we have very, very high pressure. We don't have regulators, so 1 line. I've blown a lot of lines because there's too much pressure. So that alleviates that. And what it does is, particularly if you go with a 2-foot space bed, 1 line in center, they typically water about 6-inch in diameter. Of course, it goes deep because it drips there all the time. But you will have some spot there that remain dry, so, and you don't want to overhead. So having 2 lines well spaced, you'll be sure to cover everything from the watering standpoint and also from that fertilization.
Is that about 9 inches apart?
6-inch. The aperture is between 6, 12, and 24. I mean, you mean, yes, I think, yeah.
Looks like about 9 inches, give or take.
And, you put it along your plant. So, and of course, we put straw initially just to keep the moisture down and minimize weeds. So it worked well. Real happy with it. Is that correct? Weed control. That's a huge, huge thing compared to field berries. And I'll show you examples. We use landscape fabric. It's easy to install. It's highly durable. It's porous, so the water will go through. It really helps maintenance when you trim your plants at the end of season or and groom that very easily. It retains, and that has pros and cons. It retains heat and moisture. Particularly moisture may not be as good because of fungus issues. And we have one high tunnel right now that does not have that. It's extremely dry, really dusty. So that cuts down on that, and it eliminates weeds altogether. I mean, if I spend 2, 3, 4 hours weeding a year, that's it. And then you weed in your rows and perhaps some weeding on the side. So it's relatively expensive. It's about $200 to do one. And the plastic comes in different width, 4, 6, and beyond. And again, it's very easy to install. However, so if you're balked at the expense, because once you start adding all the expenses, you'll see at the end it gets to be quite expensive. Think about all the alternatives when you have to weed. Does that have the story?
Yeah.
That used to be our field berries, and we had to go through this every year, spring, and then one more time in July, and we should have done it 3rd time in fall. So this is how it looks. Again, I'm comparing field berries to high tunnels. Perhaps it's not a fair comparison, but we used to then spend a tremendous amount of time weeding. So I think this trellising. Any questions so far? That's clear. Yes.
Could you go back a slide, please, or two? One more. That one. So is this who you made the mistake of adding 5 rows?
sorry?
Is that your 5-row example? You said it should have been 4.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
That's a mistake.
So those ones are 4 feet, your landscape fabric is 4 feet, but you
Got it.
should be 5 feet.
Well, yeah.
On the ones that you,
Yes,
ideally,
correct.
okay.
Yeah, that's a mistake. Although it's producing like crazy. We get like 2,000 pints out of that baby, right? But ultimately, if I had to do it again, and that's what we did with the fourth one, with the third one, it went 4 feet. It took me 2 times to figure it out, but, okay, trellising, that's a must. I mean, this is one of those things you cannot avoid. And again, avoid the same mistake we made, and I did not elaborate on the mistakes we made visually, but we began with a T-bar. Oh, yeah, T-post. 2 at the end with an anchor down the ground. So those end up being 4 feet. So then 1 more in the center and 1 at the end. Well, plants grew to be this tall, so they were not held. And then that anchor down to the ground was very dangerous, trying to step over that. And ultimately, we had to add in between. You'll be surprised, and you'll see that, you'll be surprised the weight that berries add to your plants and to a trellis. So, again, considering the plants can reach 6 to 8 feet, you need to account for that, which we did not the first year, never thought. Again, you'll see the Joan Jay, the one we grow, they say 4 to 6 feet, and we're about 5 feet, which should be okay. Well, the plants turn out to grow 6 to 8 feet. So, please take advantage of our mistakes in the past. The plants really need to be supported. And because you're limited by space, width-wise, you really have to train them to be within those. So it's critical. So I'm going to go through the nuts and bolts of that. So ultimately, what we do is we put down, again, this is a 5-row, a 4x4 post, 10 foot tall, and I don't know if you can see here, right here, there's a little island, up there that's really connected to the high tunnel. That's how we added the tension to it. Then we have these lateral braces, preferably 4 sets per. We only have 3 here, so we basically 1, 2, 3. We would have probably had 1 more down here. In the midsection, this is kind of drawn. We have additional posts every 20 feet. And again, initially the first year we put 1 in the center, thinking that would be enough. But really the weight of the plants onto the pencil wire is too much. So basically I'm only showing 2 here, but you want to add 3 of those to really keep your plants in the row, to prevent what you saw earlier, the picture that you saw earlier, where the plants all over the place. The braces are about spaced 18 inches height-wise. And then the wire that we have here is a thin sole, it's like the pants type, 16 gauge, I believe. What we do is we put it 18 inches down. So the plant part enters. Yes. Well, and you'll see the height. I mean, these are screwed to your 4x4. They can be adjusted. But your first one, you put 18 inches, so you force your plants to go in a narrow space. And the top one, you may want to do that 20 inches, so there's a little more space, so your plants really open up. So the sun can come through. One thing is I've never gone through it, but I've got to do it. Oh. These here. Now, so pretend you see this, you have this wire. Your plants, because they grow 6 to 8 feet, and depending on the variety, some of them pretty weak, they will lean that way, and they will lean within the rows themselves, badly. So, in some fashion, it's not a bad idea every foot or so to put a side brace of some kind. It could be an old drip line that you can attach it. It could be twine, baling twine, whatever it is, so that your plants just grow there and it don't fall down. Make sense? And believe me, depending on the variety, that's what's going to happen. Yes?
And then you're using the T-posts except for the ends. Is that what you're doing?
Correct.
Okay.
And not 5 foot ones, but 7 foot ones. Now, yes.
just a thought, I mean, and first, are you pruning back to a certain number of liters per plant?
Yes,
or
yes. We'll go
How
with
many,
that.
I just, it's part of the question.
Oh, 6, 7?
I'm just curious if there's any thought, or you know of anybody who's taken advantage of the structure you have overhead, you know, trellis from above, almost like you would tomatoes or cucumbers or something like that.
I thought about that, and I haven't thought hard enough to do it. Yes, because of your braces and your purlins, you probably could do something. I've been thinking about it.
Structurally, it's probably not designable.
Well, yes, you're right, it depends, because this is kind of whimsy up there. It's not very strong. But I don't think it would add that much weight to it. But that works. Again, why not stick with what works, right?
Right.
And hey, listen, if a raised trellis or some kind that you're talking about would work, fine, but I tend to stick, I mean, listen, we've been married for 33 years, so, you know, I'm happy with how things work, right?
Anne's shaking her head.
1985, they do the math.
Careful when he changes trellising system.
Not cheap, not cheap. 500 to, it could be as much as $600. I mean, these posts are $14 a piece. You 2x4, a 5,000 foot roll of pencil wire. That's $50. Oh, and one thing I forgot. Did I say ratchet somewhere? Yes. How do we tie those wires lengthwise? We've tried 3 things. Little tiny whimsy little things that never work, so you don't understand what they are. We have plastic ones. You get a Tractor Supply that you put a wire on each side and then crank them. But they're plastic. They will break. Every single one has broke. And you can see that's what we are here, 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 here. We finally end up using the pencil wire ratchets, $3 a piece. So not cheap. If you have 4 rows, that's 1 on each side. That's 8 of those, $24 times 4, $100 just in ratchets. But it really helps put tension on it, and that's what you want to have. Now, I think the real beauty to this is that comes right now. I haven't gone into the hydraulics in a while. I'm going to unscrew this, unscrew that, and raise them all up to that level. So now I can have access to the plant because we cut everything down. Cutting plants with wires there is a big pain. So, and it's easy. You just unscrew them and just raise them. Once you're all done, once they're all clean, we raise them all the way down, every single one of them. So as the plants grow, we then raise the top one to just follow. Because if you talk about plants that are 18 inches, it really depends. You really need to follow. I mean, the best would be to have one every 6 inches.
You could straight drill that with a hole all the way up and then drill the great one feet.
Yeah, but you know, just screw, yes, but just screwing them with,
Because those posts will last as one.
oh, yes, yes. So I think ultimately that system works really well for that. Believe me, once you go through many years of trimming or pruning plants with wires in between, that's the thing I really don't like forward to. So now I'm able to move all of these. It really helps. And you know, you can carry, the problem is when you have wires on each side, what are you going to do with those, you know, 8-foot tall brambles that are dead? You've got to bring them on one side and out. Well, with the wires being up, you can just go across. So, just again, when you're a one-man operation, you need to make your life easier. Drainage, I think you know familiar with the first high tunnel, the second high tunnel. What I've done is to dig a trench about 1.5 feet or so, about 2 feet from the edge. You don't want to go too close, otherwise it's going to compromise the structural aspect of your post. And what we do is put black plastic to prevent weeds from coming up. And in our case, the water starts here, drains here, and goes down the neighbor's field. Ideally, we should have a pipe, a drain pipe, and cover that or put a bed of rocks, peat rocks, and then cover that with rocks, and that would be done forever. But rocks are very expensive. We have 3 high tunnels, so the cost adds up quite a bit. But if you only build in one, do it right the first time. You don't have to worry about it.
And we have that as an open trench. It just stays.
Yeah, it doesn't work that well